Hey ladies, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm so glad you found your way in. Get comfy, pour yourself a glass of wine or tea, or let's be honest, maybe both, depending on the week you've had. Now listen, today's topic, it's juicy, it's fun, it's flirty, and it might just give you a whole new way of seeing your power as a woman. Because here's the thing, when most people hear sexy, they immediately think tight dresses, red lips, and posing like you're in a perfume ad. But that's not what we're talking about today. Real sexiness, the kind that actually turns guys on, is in the subtleties. It's the little things. The moments you're not even trying, and somehow that makes it 1000x more powerful. So today, I'm breaking down 7 sexy things women do that turn guys on. And no, these aren't tricks or manipulations. They're natural, genuine behaviors that make a guy stop and think, okay, she's different and I need to know more. Whether you're dating, in a relationship, or just want to understand the superpowers you already have, you're going to love this, and trust me, some of these might even make you go, wait, that's sexy to guys? Yeah, it is. So let's jump in. Here are 7 sexy things women do that completely turn men on without even realizing it. You want to know what truly sets a woman apart in a world where everyone's trying to be the loudest voice in the room? It's her ability to be comfortable in silence. Now, I'm not talking about awkward stare at your phone silence. We've all had those. I'm talking about the kind of silence that's filled with presence, not panic. The kind where she doesn't feel the need to fill every gap with nervous chatter, jokes, or a stream of random thoughts just to keep the energy up. Instead, she's calm, collected, still. And that stillness, it speaks volumes. There's something magnetic about a woman who isn't rushing to prove herself. When a guy says something, and instead of leaping in with a response, she just smiles, holds eye contact, maybe takes a sip of her drink, and waits. That moment of confident silence, it makes him wonder. It creates tension in the best way. Because it says, I'm not here to audition for your attention. I already have it. You see, most people talk to impress, but someone who's truly confident listens to connect. She's not afraid of a pause. In fact, she uses it. It gives her space to observe, to really see who she's talking to. And for a guy, that kind of composed energy is insanely attractive. It's not that she's disinterested. It's that she's centered. Her energy doesn't scream, pick me. It whispers, I know my value. Let's see if you match it. And here's the twist. The confident silence doesn't make her seem distant. It makes her feel powerful, like she's the one with the pen in her hand, writing the scene, while he's trying to figure out what page he's on. That's not just sexy. It's unforgettable. Because real attraction isn't born from how much you say. It's born from how much meaning you bring when you do speak. And when you give a man that pause, that beat where he's leaning in, wondering what you'll say next, you're no longer just part of the conversation. You've become the moment. There's this aha moment, blink and you'll miss it, but to a guy, it's electric. It's the casual hair flit. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, seriously, that's what gets him going, just stay with me for a second. I'm not talking about the dramatic slow motion shampoo comedasol kind of flit that screams, I practiced this in the mirror 17 times. I'm talking about the totally unconscious, natural one. It's the kind you do when you're not even thinking about it. You're mid-conversation, maybe laughing at something you just said, and you absent-mindedly sweep your hair behind your ear, or you're focused on something, chewing your lip, scrolling on your phone, and you do that quick toss just to get your hair out of your face. That right there, that's the gold, because it's not performative. It's not calculated. It's instinctive. And that's why it's so sexy. Guys notice it because it feels raw, effortless, Like you're completely in your element, just being you. And in a world where so many people are trying to appear perfect, polished, curated, that moment of unfiltered femininity, it hits different. It's not about the hair. It's about the energy behind the gesture. It signals confidence without trying too hard. It says, I'm comfortable in my own skin, and that's what's magnetic. Sometimes that flip isn't even about him, it's for you. You're adjusting, you're resetting, you're just feeling yourself for a second. And guess what? That makes it even more powerful. Because what's more attractive than someone who isn't trying to impress anyone, but ends up doing it anyway just by being natural? That tiny flick, that tuck behind the ear, that effortless movement. It has this softness, this femininity that draws people in without saying a single word. And guys notice more than they admit. They won't say, oh wow, the way she flipped her hair was stunning, but trust me, they feel it. It stays in their memory like a loop they keep replaying without understanding why. So no, you don't need to master the hair flip. You just need to keep being you. Because the moments you're not trying, that's when you're at your most irresistible. Let's talk about something wildly underrated. Your voice. Now don't worry, I'm not about to tell you to sound like a breathy movie star or whisper like you're narrating a meditation app. That's not it. I'm talking about tone. Specifically that soft, playful, low-tone voice women use when they're in the moment. It's not fake, it's not forced, it's natural, but intentional. And guys, they go absolutely weak for it. Picture this. You're in conversation, maybe there's a little flirtation going back and forth, and instead of matching his volume or being overly animated, you drop your voice just slightly, not in a way that feels sultry or theatrical, just enough to make him lean in to hear you. That's the move. You're not shouting to be heard, you're drawing him closer. There's something undeniably intimate about a woman who knows how to play with her tone. When you lower your voice even a little, it creates a kind of private bubble between you and him, like you're sharing a secret, like the rest of the world doesn't need to hear what you're saying, only he does. And that kind of intimacy, it sparks connection faster than you think. You're not trying to seduce him with your words, you're seducing him with your energy. And your voice is one of the most powerful tools you have. It's like music. Some women speak with this rhythm, this calm, grounded tone that makes a man slow down and tune in. He's not just hearing what you say, he's feeling it. And let's be honest, there's something incredibly sexy about a woman who doesn't feel the need to perform. He's not bouncing off the walls to get attention. She's just there, composed, fun, maybe a little mischievous in her delivery, and that voice, that subtle shift in tone, it sticks in his head long after the conversation ends. The secret isn't in what you say, it's in how you say it. Confidence doesn't always have to be loud. In fact, some of the most magnetic women walk into a room and speak with a voice so soft, it commands attention. Because when you speak in a way that invites him closer, you make him want to stay. Let's be real for a second. Most guys don't walk around getting compliments all day. In fact, the average man could probably count on one hand how many genuine compliments he's received in the last year. And half of those were probably from his mum. That's why when a woman gives a compliment, and not just any compliment, but one that's unexpected, it hits hard. It doesn't just land. It lingers. And the best part? It doesn't have to be some deep emotional line or a dramatic confession. Sometimes the sexiest compliment is the one that catches him completely off guard. Because here's the thing, most guys expect the typical stuff. You look good in that shirt, or you've got nice eyes. And while those are sweet, they're also pretty standard. But when you say something like, there's something about the way your mind works, it's really attractive. Or you have this calming vibe that makes people feel safe around you. Now, that gets his attention. Why? Because it shows you're really paying attention. You're not just looking at him, you're seeing him. And that kind of recognition, that's rare. That's magnetic. Men, just like women, want to feel appreciated. They want to feel like they bring more to the table than just height or biceps or the car they drive. When you compliment something that's not surface level, his thoughtfulness, his sense of humor, the way he listens, his leadership in a group, that sticks with him. It makes him feel valued, not just attractive. And here's the twist. Feeling valued is one of the most seductive emotions there is. And let's not forget the tone here. It's not about giving a compliment like you're handing out a business card. It's about dropping it casually, with sincerity, maybe even a little playfulness. Like, that answer was actually pretty deep. Who knew you had layers? Delivered with a wink or a smile, game over. Because the truth is, it's not just what you say, it's how unexpectedly thoughtful it is. A compliment that feels real, out of the blue, and genuinely earned, that's the kind of thing a man remembers. That's the moment he starts looking at you differently, not just as someone who caught his eye, but someone who got into his head and stayed there. Let me paint a picture for you. You're sitting across from a woman at a dinner table or maybe next to her at a coffee shop. She's telling a story. Nothing over the top, just a regular conversation. But as she speaks, you notice the way her fingers lightly trace the rim of her glass, the way she absent-mindedly runs her hand across the table or tucks her hair behind her ear slowly, like it's part of the rhythm of her speech. You see, when a woman laughs without holding back, it sends a message. It says, I'm not here to impress you, I'm here to enjoy myself. And let me tell you, nothing turns a man on more than a woman who owns her joy. Because when you're around someone who's genuinely having fun, you can't help but be pulled into their energy. It's contagious. And here's the secret bonus. Laughter lowers people's guards. It breaks the tension. So when a woman laughs fully, without apology, it makes him feel safer to be himself too. He starts to relax. He starts laughing harder. Suddenly, it's not just a conversation, it's a connection. And it all started because you weren't afraid to be fully, unapologetically you. Let's also not pretend a beautiful laugh isn't memorable. A guy might forget what you were wearing. He might forget what you said, but if you laughed in a way that made him laugh too, that's staying with him. That's the sound he'll hear when he's lying in bed, scrolling through his thoughts, wondering why he can't stop thinking about you. So don't stifle your laugh. Don't tame it. Don't cover your mouth like you have to make your joy quieter. Let it out. Let it echo. Let it be as bold and beautiful as you are. Because when you laugh with your whole self, you're not just sexy. You're unforgettable. There's eye contact, and then there's eye contact that lingers. I'm not talking about the kind that's aggressive or makes someone feel like they're being interrogated. I'm talking about that subtle pause, that extra second, just one beat longer than usual, where she holds his gaze, and in that tiny sliver of time, everything shifts. That moment doesn't just say, I see you. It says, I see you, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not afraid to let you feel it. And that drives a man wild. Why? Because sustained eye contact is vulnerable. It's powerful. It communicates so much more than words ever could. When a woman holds a man's gaze, especially with that playful spark, that little smirk tugging at the corner of her mouth, it creates this immediate tension, like something's been said without anything actually being said. Most people look away too quickly. It's automatic. We get shy, nervous, or we don't want to seem too eager. But that tiny second where she doesn't look away, that's where the magic happens, because that's when he starts wondering, is she flirting with me? Was that in my head? What's going on here? Suddenly you're the mystery, you're the intrigue, and just like that, he's drawn in deeper. But here's the beauty of it. It's not about being seductive in a forced way. It's about being intentional. A confident woman knows the power of her gaze. She doesn't throw it around carelessly, but when she chooses to hold it just slightly longer than what's expected, it creates a spark that hangs in the air like electricity. She's not loud, she's not trying to be the center of attention, but the way she carries herself, the way she moves with purpose, grace, and that quiet, confident smile that says, I know who I am. That's the moment every head subtly turns. So next time you walk into a restaurant, a meeting, or even your own living room, remind yourself, you don't have to shrink to fit in. Let them feel you. Let your presence speak before you say a word, because a woman who walks with self-assurance, she doesn't chase attention. She attracts it without even trying. It's about being you, completely, unapologetically, and fully in your feminine energy. The woman who knows who she is, owns her space, and doesn't have to chase attention, because attention naturally finds her. That woman, she doesn't just turn guys on, she pulls them in, mind, body, and soul. And here's the wild part. None of these things require you to change a single thing about who you are. You don't need to rehearse, you don't need to study how to flirt, and you certainly don't need to fake a persona. All you need to do is stop hiding the magic that's already there. Because when you lean into your natural power, even in the most subtle, everyday moments, you become unforgettable. And any man lucky enough to experience that, he'll know he's not just looking at a beautiful woman, he's looking at a woman who moves him. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 sexy things do you catch yourself doing without realizing it? Or is the one you're now excited to play with a little more? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing your stories. And if this video gave you a spark of inspiration, confidence, or even just a smile, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with a friend who needs to be reminded of how magnetic she really is. Remember, you don't need to be louder, bolder, or more. You just need to be you. Because when you do that, you won't just be sexy, you'll be absolutely irresistible.